Good morning, everyone. My name's Kyle Longton. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of the American Foreign Service Protective Association. I want to thank you for joining us today. This is the first of several webinars we're going to do over the next week about open season activities. You have until December 10th, so a little more than a week to make changes for open season. We're going to talk about those open season activities today. We'll talk about the FEHB program, your health insurance. We'll talk about the FSAFEDS program, your flexible spending options. We'll also talk about FEDVIP, the Federal Employee Dental and Vision Insurance Program, your options there. And we'll spend some time talking specifically about what AFSPA offers in various areas with the Foreign Service Benefit Plan, life insurance, and then some of our other programs. There will be some time for Q&A. It will be basically, you can submit your questions, and I will ask that you keep your questions general about benefits, about broad changes. We're not in a position this morning to answer questions about specific claims or specific issues you may have experienced. If that is the case, I encourage you to go to our website and use the Contact Us page. There's a link at the footer of every page on our website to submit those questions. I am joined this morning by two of my colleagues. Yancy Mueller, our IT manager, is here to make sure that I have the microphone on and that everything's running smoothly, and also by Irvin Price, one of our HBOs, who's going to be going through your questions, answering some of those as they come, and then forwarding them to me to answer at the end. So please be patient. If there are technical difficulties, we'll deal with those as they come. But once again, thank you for joining me, and we'll go ahead and get started. We'll start with FEHB. As I mentioned, open season is underway right now. It started on November 12th, and you have until December 10th, and this is your opportunity to make changes. With the FEHB program, you have over 200 plans to choose from. All of them are good plans. Most of them are health maintenance organizations, HMOs, which provide coverage in a specific geographic region in the United States. The others are fee-for-service plans, some of which are open to all federal employees, and some of which are known as closed plans. And enrollment in those closed plans is open only to employees of specific agencies. The Foreign Service Benefit Plan is an example of a closed plan, but it does have broad membership possibilities. So what are some of the hallmarks of the program? First, all the plans offer comprehensive benefit packages. They're all good plans, as I said before. The important thing is to choose a plan that offers the benefits you and your family, your covered dependents, use. We'll talk a little bit more about that later on. There's also no pre-existing condition limitations, so you can change plans during this open season without worrying if a medical condition will be covered. So if you're under treatment for something right now, if you've had a previous diagnosis, you're not going to be excluded from coverage for anything, including that previous diagnosis, under your new plan. But the important thing, once again, is to make sure you understand how that new plan will cover your needs and if it is the right plan for you. The government continues to make a generous contribution. On average, they pay about 70% of the premium. The other 30% on average is coming out of your biweekly paycheck if you're an active employee, or out of your monthly annuity if you are a retiree. Speaking of retirees, the FEHB program does offer a retirement benefit. You can carry your health insurance into retirement, and it's the same plan. There's not a retiree plan and an active duty plan with different benefits or anything like that. It's also the same premium, again, charged bi-weekly when you're active, monthly when you're an annuitant, and the government continues to pay its portion of the premiums once you retire. This is almost unheard of in the private sector these days. Couple of things to keep in mind. There is what's known as a 5-year rule to carry this, and that means that you must be enrolled in the FEHB program for the 5 years immediately preceding retirement. Now, you can be in different plans, you can switch plans every year, but you must be enrolled in the program. If you have TRICARE and you've been covered by TRICARE and that's always worked well for you, that's great. Your TRICARE enrollment counts toward that 5-year requirement. The important thing to remember with that, though, is that you must be enrolled in an FEHB plan when you retire. So if you've been covered by TRICARE, you're thinking about retiring from your civilian position sometime next year, this is the open season to enroll in that FEHB plan. With that, I want to take a few minutes to talk about OPM's 2019 initiatives. The Office of Personnel Management has initiatives that they explore every year that they ask all the plans to take action on. And I want to go into some detail because regardless of what plan you have, you may see some changes, you may see some differences next year. Here's what to expect. One of the focuses that they have is quality and affordable coverage, and this is really the whole point of the FEHB program. It's that you have the coverage that you need. There are online support tools, and plans are expanding those. We'll take a look at some examples later on in the presentation. Plans are also increasing their member-specific care information. So there are opportunities, there's new technology, new ways for plans to communicate with doctors, with you, the patient or the member, and with your other providers to find out how best to provide you the care that you need. Find the best programs to meet your needs, to help you meet your goals. And with the overall goal of improving member engagement, not only with your health plan, but in your overall health. Prescription drugs, that's another initiative that we're focused on this year. This should not be a surprise. We've talked about this for several years, and if you are on prescription drugs, you know that costs are increasing and have continued to increase. So plans are working with their pharmacy benefit managers, they're working with pharmacies, they're working with OPM, they're working with you, the member, to help control those costs while still ensuring that members have the right medication, the right treatment they need at the right time. So you will see things like medication management programs, utilization management programs. There are processes in place under many of the plans for prior authorization for step therapy. So if you diagnose with a new condition, new drug, the generic, and then move on to a preferred drug and then a non-preferred drug before perhaps exploring those specialty drugs that are coming to market. There may be prior authorization rules for some of those new specialty drugs because they are so expensive, and in many cases they're very specific for what they treat. There'll be a process that your plan, your pharmacy benefit manager, your doctor, and the pharmacy will go through to make sure that that's the right piece for you. In this moment, one of the things that may be of concern to you if you're looking at making a change to a new plan is, how much are my prescription drugs going to cost me? All the plans should have cost calculators on their public websites where you can go in, type in the name of the drug that you're taking, and find out, is it a covered drug? Is it a preferred drug? Is it non-preferred? Is it available for home delivery if your plan offers that? Is there a generic available? So the idea is to give you the information you need on prescription drugs right down to the specific dosage, so that you can make the right decision for you and your family. We're also continuing to look at population health, and there's a lot of ways that population health can be interpreted. I look at it as getting you healthy and keeping you healthy, but also focusing on chronic programs that may affect a wide swath of the population. So you'll see this in health programs and discount programs that your plan may offer. You'll see that plans have new strategies, and we'll talk about some of those for serious conditions, those chronic conditions. And you'll also see a continuation of the wellness incentive rewards that will be rewarding you for success. They'll be rewarding you for participation, for taking steps to, once again, get you healthy and keep. But on that, in that vein, one of the things that we're looking at is the opioid crisis. And here, this has been a focus. You've likely seen this in the news. You and your family, your life may have been touched by this crisis on a personal level. And so over the last year, actually the last several years, but particularly in the last year, you've likely seen some changes by health plans, by pharmacies, by state legislatures, even by Congress to address this issue. So you'll see plans taking new steps where support for managing pain, for handling and working with a pain drug begins before confinement. So if you know that you're going in for a surgery and your doctor, your provider, whoever they are, calls and pre-certifies that with the health plan, it's likely the health plan in some cases will reach out to you and say, I understand you're going in for surgery next week. Let's talk about how to manage that aftercare, how to manage pain, how to use the medication in the best way so it doesn't become an issue, so you don't become addicted. There are new chronic pain management programs that some of the plans are offering. There's also 100% coverage for the naloxone agent, which is essentially the antidote if someone overdoses. That'll be paid at 100% under the plans. a little bit more information about the opioid epidemic. How did we get here? So it's really almost 25 years old, but back in 1995, American Pain Society launched a campaign talking about pain as a fifth vital sign. That also happened to be the same year that the FDA approved OxyContin. If you've talked to your doctor about pain, you may be familiar with this chart that you see here about how to manage, how to measure pain. In the early 2000s, we saw a lot of prescribing of opioids. There was a joint commission came together and released a report that pain was something that was being undertreated in America, and opioids were one way to handle that. But in the last 8 years, we sort of turned the tide on that. Starting in around 2010, the president, the administration at that time urged judicious opioid prescribing. Public awareness started to turn to recognize the challenges and the dangers posed by these medications. And really in the last 3 years, there have been national policies to target opioid prescribing. A few more stats. A person who receives a 7-day supply has a probability of still being a user a year later. That is 12.5%. And that doubles to 25% probability if a person receives an 11-day supply. You can see from the chart here the great increase, particularly in the last 6 to 10 years, of various types of opioids. And the fact that this is killing a lot of people. On average, we can expect that 3 more people will have died in the last few minutes that we've been talking. So plans are addressing this in a number of ways. I mentioned before that there's pre-admission counseling. So you could expect a call from a nurse manager, a medication manager, a health or medication coach before you go in for a procedure that's likely to result in a prescription for pain medication. For those with chronic pain or even the short-term pain, there are alternative therapies available, and you'll see plans looking to use those. Pain management programs, case management support, and care management support. Different plans use different terms. And then also, if you've gone to fill a prescription in recent months, you've likely run into a dispensing restriction. I tell the story that I had my wisdom teeth pulled a few years ago, and I received a 10-day supply of prescription strength painkillers. Nowadays, if I receive that same prescription, I would only typically get a 3-day supply. This is because health plans, because state laws and regulations, and because pharmacies themselves, retail pharmacies, have put in place restrictions. Now, if additional pain medication is needed, there can be a conversation with the doctor for another prescription in some cases, but there are strategies in place, there are restrictions, new regulations in place to help manage the misuse and this epidemic that we're seeing. So particularly if you're looking to have a surgery in the next year, you're likely to see some of these changes. Now, a lot of these changes are are targeted at acute pain. They're not for long-term pain, for someone with a terminal illness, with cancer, something like that. Those people will still continue to be managed and provided with what they need on a long-term basis. Most of these policies focus on the acute needs following a surgery or an accident or something along those lines. Idea is to provide the right intervention, the right support programs at the right time for that specific patient, that specific member. Because if you've seen one patient who's suffering from pain, you've seen one patient. Everybody's different. Everybody handles these things differently and has different needs. So there are a variety of ways that plans can help you. If you're experiencing this, if you have questions, contact your plan and find out what's available. Now, when we're talking about health overall, the question is where to start. And this is not a big change from recent years. Health plans are going to encourage you to complete an HRA, a health risk assessment. This is a questionnaire that typically you do online, maybe takes 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, and it's going to ask you questions like, do you know your vital statistics from your last annual physical? What was your blood pressure? What was your cholesterol? You may or may not have that information in front of you. You typically have an option to skip that, but it's also going to ask you questions like, are you eating the recommended number of servings of fruits and vegetables every day? How many hours on average per night of sleep do you get? When you check that 5-hour box, it's going to give you an option that says, are you interested in programs to learn how to help you sleep? well, to sleep more, to start exercising, to eat better, whatever that goal is. The idea behind this is not only to identify health risks that you may have, that's part of it, but also to help you identify health goals that you have, to give you a personalized summary, and then to connect you with programs that your plan offers so that you can mitigate those risks and to help you meet those health goals. The second step that a lot of plans will encourage you to do is the biometric screening, and this is typically done as part of your annual physical. It is the results of your blood analysis, your urine analysis, your vital measurements, so cholesterol, triglycerides, blood pressure, weight, waist circumference, and so forth. And this is a more scientific examination, if you will, about are you really healthy? Are there risk signs that you're not aware of that maybe do show up in that blood test? The whole idea here is to help you identify risks and challenges that you have and connect you once again with programs to help mitigate those risks. And also to provide you with a starting point to have a conversation with your healthcare provider about your health. Have an informed conversation. How are we going to encourage you to do this? The old-fashioned way, we're going to bribe you. It used to be easier to bribe you with incentives. We could do gift cards, but that changed a few years ago. And so now plans are offering these wellness incentive accounts. So you can earn certain dollar amounts for completing different wellness programs. Those dollar amounts go into a fund. And when you have out-of-pocket costs, the money is reimbursed to you or in some cases directly to the provider before the provider bills you. Use it for deductibles, co-pays, co-insurance. Can even be used for dental and vision out-of-pocket expenses. And then even some over-the-counter that are prescribed, so allergy and sinus medications, first aid cream, and so forth. It's everything that's covered by, and I'm sure everyone has this memorized, Section 213D of the Internal Revenue Code. There's a wide variety of options on there, but this is just sort of a broad view of what you can do. I mentioned with population health, we're also looking at chronic conditions. So what support do you need? Maybe does a family member need? And how do you help improve on that or manage that condition? There are specific programs out there for specific conditions. There are one-on-one care programs, regular conversations with a health coach, with a nurse case manager. There are also opportunities for members to use telehealth, and I'll hold off talking more about that because I actually have some examples here in a moment. And there's also specific programs out there to help members manage diabetes, pre-diabetes, high blood pressure, and pain. All the plans are starting to offer interactive tools. There's usually member engagement opportunities through a secure portal specifically targeted to you, your health results, the health risk assessment that you filled out. There are interactive apps. There are approaches to try to make medication reminders and taking your medication, doing daily exercise into a game, the way we might with another game on a mobile device, something like Candy Crush or something like that. But the idea is to provide members with support where you are, meet you where you are, and provide you with the tools to help you manage your and hopefully improve your health. This is also a time to look at those non-FEHB benefits. There's a wide variety, and I'll talk some more about some of these, but life, long-term disability, dental, hearing, vision insurance. It's good to compare those between federal programs, what's covered in your health plan, and what's available outside of that. Within health plans, you may find that there are gym memberships available. Some of these are widespread, some of them are very specific. A lot of them, because we may have some members joining us from outside the U.S., a lot of them only have discounts when you're inside the U.S., so that doesn't extend overseas. And there's also some opportunities for things like Institutes of Excellence, where there may not be a covered benefit, but there is more information that your plan can offer. There are specific providers who have a great track record with things like infertility. And that information is typically available from your plan. So I encourage you to look at those, dig into those, and we'll talk some more about those later in the presentation. Mentioned telehealth before. This is an example of one of the telehealth providers that may be used by some of the plans. This is the telehealth provider used by the Foreign Service Benefit Plan. It's called American Well or Amwell. And this is a screenshot of what you would see when you go into the program. You can do it on your smartphone, your tablet, camera-enabled computer, whatever it may be, but you've got a lot of options here. Medical, children's medical, various kinds of therapy and mental and behavioral health support. There's even options in Spanish. You can also talk with a registered dietitian or nutritionist, and even support for breastfeeding. So, and with the therapy sessions and the nutritionist, you can actually make appointments in advance. Now, if you're using telehealth to for an acute need, maybe you have a sore throat, maybe you think you have an ear infection, you've got a skin rash, something like that, you can go in and see the first available provider, and you'll see a screen that looks something like this. So you can choose your provider, see who's online, and it may be that you've worked with Dr. Cynthia Horner before. You've talked to her before. You want to talk to her again. You can select that, and you can wait behind the other two people who are waiting. You may just want a quick answer. You can talk to Dr. Stratton. He's available right now. But this is just to give you an example of how easy it is to use this. Some of the plans offer a reduced copay or coinsurance when you use telehealth. The Foreign Service Benefit Plan, there's actually no copay or coinsurance. There's no additional cost to the member to use telehealth. This is only available when you're in the U.S. Treatment typically is not available, especially through Amwell, when you're outside the U.S. We're working on solutions for that, but right now we're running into some licensing regulations and requirements that aren't very helpful, but we are working on it. But when you're in the U.S., especially for those of you who are overseas, if you're back to visit family for R&R, TDY, and you need to get in to see a doctor, and you call your regular doctor and they say, yeah, we can see you in 6 weeks, which isn't that unusual. This is a great opportunity for an acute need to connect with someone, and the doctors can even call in a prescription to a local pharmacy if that's warranted by their examination. But this is something to do when you have a camera available on your smartphone, tablet, whatever it is, so the doctor can really interface with you and find out what's going on and get you the help that you need. Just one more example of trying to meet members where they are and provide you with convenience as well as quality service. With some of the chronic programs, there are really innovative solutions coming out, and one example is Livongo, and this is a program used by the Foreign Service Benefit Plan and several of the other plans. But right now they have and you'll see it in the bottom left of your screen, a glucose meter, and it gives you a digital reading. It gives you some messages while it's doing the reading, but it also sends the information off via cellular technology to the Livongo headquarters, where they have certified diabetes educators receiving that information. And if you're in a danger zone, if you have an extremely high reading or an extremely low reading, typically within a minute, you're going to get a phone call from one of those diabetes educators to find out what's going on, to talk you through how to get back to a healthy range, to also talk about what may have changed today, what may have been different that caused that spike or that drop. It also, you can see there from the tablet screen capture, it gives you an opportunity to track the information so that when you go to your doctor, you can print that out, you can email it, you can fax it, and have a really informed conversation. Livongo's getting ready to launch a smart blood pressure cuff, which you can see there on the right side of the screen. Now this one is Bluetooth enabled. So it syncs up with your Bluetooth enabled device, whether that's your tablet, smartphone, or your computer. And it allows you to track that, your blood pressure over time, gives you, once again, some good reports to have a conversation with your doctor. With the diabetes, with the glucose meter, which is available now, Foreign Service Benefit Plan is offering this to members at no cost, and that includes the meter and all the supplies, the lancets, the test strips, and it'll even give you a little reminder when you need to reorder. I will mention that this is available pretty much worldwide right now. There's a couple countries, for my friends in South Korea, if anybody's joining us in the middle of the night, and in certain parts of Japan. The cellular network is different, and the current meter doesn't work there yet, but there is a new meter coming out that will be working, and we expect to have that in the first quarter of 2019 to make that available for all of our members who have this need. More details on this smart blood pressure cuff will be forthcoming. But these are just examples of some of the new programs, some of the new technology that's out there to provide support to members. And there's also these interactive tools. This is an example of a health support tool. It's actually available through our partnership with Aetna, but other plans may have this. You can see on the right side that there's a list of various conditions. You can click into that and get more specific, and then there are 5 or 10-minute videos or audio files that you can watch or listen to, get more information. You can pause, play back. There's an option to take notes and then print those notes out so that when you go to your doctor, you can ask the questions that you need to ask, get the information that you need. A lot of times it may be the doctor is staring at their clipboard or staring at their tablet and you see them for 4 or 5 minutes. This empowers you, gives you the information you need so that you can ask those questions and get the treatment that you need. Find out if you need to get a second opinion, see another doctor, what you can expect and so forth. So I encourage you to look for these types of tools from your plan and make use of those. Wrap up a little bit on FEHB. When you're considering your plan, consider a variety of things. First of all, start with how you use healthcare. If you are someone who has chronic pain and you have found that acupuncture or massage therapy or chiropractic services really help you, make sure you've got a plan that covers that. If you have a family member who needs physical therapy, maybe they have a surgery coming up next year, or speech therapy, make sure that your plan has, I'm going to use the word robust benefits, coverage for that, so that you're not running into a situation where you think, oh, 25 physical therapy benefits sounds like a lot, and after you've had knee replacement or hip replacement, you've gone through that in about 4 weeks and you still need more assistance. Make sure you've got what you need. Look at those wellness programs. I hear from people a lot of times, oh, well, I'm pretty healthy, I don't use that much health insurance, I want a cheap option. Well, okay, I understand that. But take a look at those wellness programs, because you can earn money from plans for doing things that you're already doing, your annual physical, the HRA, things like that. And that money can be used to pay for out-of-pocket expenses for health or dental or vision. So you can actually earn some money back that helps reduce your out-of-pocket costs. Take a look at the pre-certification requirements. All plans have some sort of pre-certification requirement for inpatient hospitalization, and then after that it varies from plan to plan. But a lot of the plans have pre-certification requirements for high-end radiology, like an MRI or a CAT scan or a CT scan even. For certain prescription drugs, there may be a prior authorization requirement, which is very similar. Sometimes these are waived when you're overseas. Sometimes they're not waived when you're overseas. Sometimes they are in place for very specific procedures or very specific types of treatment. So I encourage you to look at the plan brochure, contact the plan, especially if you're looking to change, to make sure you understand that. Look at prescription drugs, especially if you know that you're on a maintenance medication. Find out how drugs are covered, especially if you're on a current medication. Is it preferred, which will save you money? Is there a generic, which will save you even more money? Are there home delivery options, which typically also save you money for the out-of-pocket costs? Look at the deductibles and co-pays. Plans may change deductibles every year. They may not. They may hold them steady. Co-pays may change. They may vary from going to an in-network provider or an in-network preferred provider or an out-of-network provider. So to take a look at those, make sure you understand what your cost is going to be. Make sure you understand if you have in-network and out-of-network benefits or just in-network. Various plans work different ways. Some plans have one option where you have in-network and out-of-network. Some plans have another option where it's only in-network. Find what works best for you and take a look at that total package. Again, I get a lot of people ask, well, I just want the cheapest plan. That I understand where people come from, but look at those out-of-pocket costs. Look at what's actually covered under the plan. Do you have coverage for what you need or what you might need? If you're somebody who says, I want the absolute best, I want the most expensive plan because that's got to be the best, dig a little deeper and make sure that's the case. Make sure it all comes back to how you use healthcare. So I encourage you to take a look at that. So that wraps up my FEHB. I'm going to come back to questions, and I'm getting some of those now, but I'm going to come back to questions at the end. But I want to talk briefly about the FSAFEDS program. These are your flexible spending accounts. No big changes to this program this year. I do want to draw two distinctions between FSAFEDS and between FEHB. With the FEHB program, you have a government contribution, and if you like the plan that you have this year and the enrollment type and everything else, if you don't take any action, you will have the same plan next year. FSAFEDS is different in both respects. This is essentially a tax benefit. There is no government contribution to your FSAFEDS. Also, you must re-enroll in FSAFEDS every single year. and I'll talk more about that in a minute, but FSAFEDS you must re-enroll every year. So what is the flexible spending account? This is an opportunity for you to elect a certain amount of money for health care and a certain amount of money if you desire for dependent care. Have that set aside. It comes out in equal increments from your paycheck over the course of the year. And it comes out pre-tax. So the benefit here is that it's lowering your tax liability. You can use the healthcare FSA for your coinsurance, your copay, your deductible, even for dental and eye exams, glasses, contacts, and so forth. With the healthcare FSA, there's a minimum election of $100 and a maximum election of $2,650. If you have a spouse who's also a federal employee or also has an access to an FSA account, that spouse can elect up to the maximum of $2,650. So you might look at this if you've got somebody in the family who's getting braces next year and you're planning to pay for most of it out of pocket, you may want to maximize those contributions. There's no grace period, so you can use this money for expenses incurred between January 1 and December 31st, and that's the same for 2018 and 2019 as of right now. You guys submit all of your expenses by the end of by the end of April 30th, 2019. Now, the plan changed a few years ago, and there is a carryover option. So you can carry over up to $500 from 2018 into 2019. However, you have to re-enroll for 2019. So if you've got some money left in that account, you want to carry it over, you've got to make sure you re-enroll. If you don't re-enroll, you will forfeit anything left in that account. If you have more than $500 left in the account, go get some prescription sunglasses or something, because anything more than $500 will be lost, even if you re-enroll. So it's a $500 max that can roll over to next year. The dependent care is different. It's up to $5,000 per household, not per individual employee, so it's per household. And by law, there is no carryover. And you can use this for care for children up to age 13 for various reasons. And in some cases, if you have an adult whom you claim as a dependent on your taxes who requires something like adult daycare or care along those lines, it can also be used for that. I encourage you to go to the FSAFEDS website, FSAFEDS.com. There's really actually some great information on there, including cost calculators. I do encourage you to be conservative when you're electing the amounts, particularly for the health care, because you don't want to run into a situation where you're going to forfeit some money going into the next year. This is a great way to lower your tax liability and also provide some flexibility for how you use those funds, particularly for health care. The last thing I want to touch on in a broad way is the FEDVIP program, the Federal Employee Dental and Vision Insurance Program. With the dental program, there are 6 nationwide and 4 regional plans. Most of these plans pay 100% no deductible for preventive care, or what they call Class A care. When you get into other classes of care, things like fillings, bridges, crowns, orthodontia, and so forth, you're going to see that the reimbursement ranges from 80% to 20%. For in-network and out-of-network benefits. Take a look at those. Essentially, when you get into those higher classes of care, dental plans are going to pay less, you're going to pay more, and that's with all supplemental dental programs. Now, this program is 100% voluntary. That means that you pay 100% of the premium. It does come out of your paycheck pre-tax, but the government's not making any contribution. The average increase going into next year is 1.2%. The premiums and benefits do vary for anybody who's joining from overseas. Take a look, make sure you understand what the benefits are and what your premium will be when you're overseas. There are reasonable and customary limits that apply. If anybody's joining who previously had dental coverage as a retiree under TRICARE, that program your eligibility is moving from TRICARE, because they're discontinuing that program for retirees, and moving over to the FEDVIP program. Go to benefeds.com. You can see the address there at the bottom of the screen for more information. There's information about who's eligible, because there are different eligibility for dependent children. There's different regulations under FEDVIP than there are under the FEHB. Children age out of this program sooner than they do under FEHB. So do take a look at that. And the same website will also give you information about the Vision program. There are 4 plans. All the plans have dollar limits on exams, frames, lenses, and contacts from participating providers. Some of those plans do require that you go to participating providers, and some of them have out-of-network benefits. If you're overseas, please know that none of these plans have participating providers. overseas. Your reimbursement is going to be based on an overseas out-of-network fee schedule. Once again, individuals pay 100% of the premium. The average premiums for this plan, the vision plans, it's actually going down 2.8% next year. Same thing for TRICARE retirees. You have eligibility now. Do you want to caution particularly those people overseas when you're looking at the benefits? Consider these plans. They are good plans. They wouldn't be in the federal program if they weren't. Look at other plans outside of this. You may find something that works better for you, particularly if you're overseas. And you may also find that if you're someone who just gets your teeth cleaned twice a year, maybe you have the occasional cavity, you're having an eye exam, maybe new glasses or contacts once a year, take a look at putting some money in that flexible spending account. That might be a better option for you than enrolling and paying premiums for this program throughout the year. Again, it's once again how you use dental care and how you use vision care to make the right decision for you and anybody else who's covered on your plan, your family members. Last little bit I want to touch on is the Affordable Care Act. This the individual mandate is still, it has gone away, but the reporting for the individual mandate is still in place. So you'll still receive 1095B plans from your health plan, a 1095C form from your employing agency, but if you're an annuitant, you will not get a 1095C. You don't need to wait for these documents to arrive because often they end up extending the deadline, but you don't have to wait for these to complete your taxes. It's typically, if you've done TurboTax or something like that, there's a box that says, did you have health insurance last year? And you say yes for all 12 months or when you did or when you didn't. You need to keep a copy. We recommend keeping a copy of this with your 1040 return just in case, but you don't need to wait for these forms to arrive to start your taxes. And as of right now, this is the last year for the 1095s unless Congress restores the individual mandate penalty. So watch for that. Last thing, how to make an open season change. For the FEHB, it's going to vary depending on your employing or retirement agency. For current employees, active employees, the best thing to do is to go through your agency's online self-service system. So maybe it's Employee Express, maybe it's EBIS. There's some other agency-specific programs out there. You will need your password. In my understanding from some people overseas, this is a busy time for requesting passwords. So if you don't have that password, request it as soon as possible so that you have an opportunity before the 10th to make the change. You can also submit a standard form SF2809, but make sure you know where to submit that form. For FSAFEDS, there's a single website, FSAFEDS.com, or there's a number there that you can call. And for FEDVIP, this is also through a single website. Everybody has to go through benefeds.com or by calling the 877 number there toward the bottom of your screen. I'll leave that up just for a moment in case anybody wants to take those numbers down. Finally, just some things to remember with FEHB. You've got a choice of plans, you've got flexibility. It's all based on how you use healthcare. For FSAFEDS, you can use it for a variety of needs, deductible, copay, coinsurance, all eligible medical expenses, again, once under 213D of the Internal Revenue Code. And there's also the dependent care FSA. With FEDVIP, choice of plans, this is supplemental coverage, so you will have out-of-pocket expenses. But really do the math. Take a look at those private sector plans, take a look at discount programs, and decide what's right for you. I want to talk a little bit about what AFSPA offers, particularly with our first focus on the Foreign Service Benefit Plan. I'm going to leave this up for a minute, excuse me. The deductible under the Foreign Service Benefit Plan for in-network and overseas providers is not changing next year. It remains at $300 per person, and for that self only, and $600 for the self plus one or self and family enrollment. We continue to expand our direct billing arrangements with overseas providers. We are, I think, approaching 200 different facilities overseas in a variety of countries. And I'm very happy to announce that we just signed our first agreement with a major hospital system throughout Japan. And this is particularly good news, I think, for DoD civilians who are in Japan, because they have locations near most of our bases there in the Tokyo region and in Okinawa, in Fukuoka for those in Sasebo and Iwakuni. We don't have anything up north just yet, but we're working on that. When it comes to telehealth, I showed you some examples of Amwell before, and we've got the layouts there. As I mentioned, with Foreign Service Benefit Plan, telehealth through American Well is covered at 100%. There's no out-of-pocket cost for individual members. This next slide on the second row left side talks about some of our online support programs that we have for mental health and behavioral health. We have something called My Strength, this and Able To. These are online programs. They're self-directed. There's daily affirmations. There are modules that you can walk through to help you manage somewhat common conditions like depression and anxiety. So I encourage you to take a look at those. We also offer, and this isn't on here specifically, but for our members overseas, we do have a telehealth benefit for behavioral health when you're overseas. There's more details in the brochure, but essentially you have a relationship with the provider. You use a HIPAA compliant interface. So it's not FaceTime. I know we're using Skype right now. It's not Skype, but there are things out there. There's one called Blue Jeans, one called Video with a Y in there somewhere. Providers should know about these, and you can have that relationship with them via telehealth when you're overseas. We understand there may be language barriers, cultural differences, security concerns. We want to make sure that you've got the ability to have to receive the support and the treatment that you need. I showed you some examples of Livongo products before with the remote diabetes monitoring program. We cover that. That is a benefit offered to members who've been identified as being diabetic. It is approaching worldwide availability. There's only a few pockets where that doesn't work with a cellular enabled, but the meter still works, and that is available to members. So if that's something that interests you and we haven't contacted you, please contact us, because it's a great program and we've seen tremendous response from members who are using it. We've got something called the In Touch Care Program, and I'm going to talk in a moment, I understand from some of the questions we're getting about the Aetna migration, but this is one of the good things that came out of the migration, and that is a fully comprehensive, it's somewhat in the background for members, but it's a full care engine, if you will. So it connects vital statistics and doctors' notes and claims and with our nurse case managers, with our other programs to really connect you and provide you with the support that you need. If you need immediate support, we do have a 24-hour nurse line, and also for our members overseas, a 24-hour emergency translation line where we will connect you with someone who speaks English and who speaks whatever the local language is, so that you can get the care and support that you need. We do have a home delivery drug program. It's available for many drugs worldwide. If temperature control is required or something like that for the drug, may not be available to go overseas or to certain places overseas, but it is wider than just in the continental US. And we do have a Smart 90 retail network pharmacy program where you can realize pretty good savings if you use one of the Smart 90 pharmacies or the home delivery drug program in the US. We continue to offer secure online submission of claims and electronic funds transfer claim reimbursement, so we'll put the money right back into your bank account. We have a focus on wellness. I'll talk about that in the next slide. We also continue to offer our alternative benefits. These are, I think it's on the sign behind me, but massage therapy, acupuncture, and chiropractic benefits. Every person covered by the plan gets 40 visits for each of those, 40 massages, 40 acupuncture visits, 40 chiropractic visits for the year. The plan will reimburse up to $60 per visit. So really consider that. Think about how you're using healthcare and how that may help you and your family if you're considering making a change. Our Simple Steps to Living Well Together program, that is our wellness program. It's how you earn incentives. We are making some changes for next year. So there are 3 steps still. The first is to take the health risk assessment. I think on average it takes about 12 minutes online, and complete your routine physical exam. And once you do both of those, you'll earn $75 credited to the incentive account. When you complete the biometric screening, you can earn $75 if you are in the healthy range or past 3 of the 5 metabolic syndrome criteria. So these are things like weight circumference, blood pressure, triglycerides, glucose, and I'm missing one, cholesterol. And if you're in the healthy range for 3 of 5 of those, you will earn $75. If for some reason that you're not in the healthy range for 3 of 5, there are a variety of wellness programs you can complete, many of them online. You complete one of those and you'll earn the $75. And finally, step 3 is focused on some specific chronic conditions and other conditions that we see. So members can earn up to an additional $100, $50 per program by completing the following, completing modules related to high blood pressure, pre-diabetes, diabetes, or for receiving timely prenatal care. These incentives are available to everyone covered under the plan, so not just the primary enrollee, if you have a spouse, or if you have children who are over the age of 18. The person has to be 18 or older. Everybody can take advantage of these incentives and earn some money to reduce your out-of-pocket costs. One thing that Irvin recommended I mentioned is that there were some changes to this program this year. In the past, 2017 and earlier, we always reimbursed members. Starting this year, if you had an out-of-pocket cost that was due to the provider that had not been paid, we would pay the funds from the wellness account directly to the provider. This was something that we didn't get the news out as earlier as well as we should have, and I apologize for that, but I want to make that clear now, that sometimes those funds are going to the provider if there's an outstanding amount that would be due from you and there's money in that account. Our premiums for 2019 are here. They're going up about 1.5%. We've been able to keep our increases fairly low over recent years, so we remain very stable and very competitive. And you can see there is a difference. If you're a two-party family, I do encourage you to look at that self plus one. It's slightly less than the self and family, but that could add up over the course of the year. And these are the biweekly premiums. We have the monthly premiums on our website if there are any annuitants tuning in. I want to talk a little bit about, I mentioned earlier, look at some other programs. Here are some of our other programs, and this is something I'm very excited about. We have a new life insurance, term life insurance plan called Group Enhanced Life, or GEL. This plan is portable. You can use it to supplement your current FEHB coverage, or you can just have it on your own if you don't have FEHB coverage. There is one of the unique features here is an accelerated benefit option. The accelerated benefit option exists if you have a terminal illness where you can draw on up to $100,000 depending on your total coverage amount when you're diagnosed with a terminal illness that leaves you with less than 12 months to live. But the new part is a chronic illness benefit. So if you are at the time of diagnosis, if you are diagnosed with a condition that is not recoverable, and you will not be able to perform 2 activities of daily living for at least 3 months, and those activities of daily living are things like transferring, feeding yourself, cooking, bathing, toileting, and so forth. You can draw on up to $50,000 depending on the limitations of your plan, your individual enrollment, for whatever you may need. Maybe it's additional in-home therapy. Maybe it's a family member takes time off to care from you. That is available at the time of diagnosis. It's also available if someone is diagnosed with severe cognitive impairment. So the general features, the premiums, if you looked at our life insurance before, maybe you thought you could find a better deal somewhere else, take another look because the premiums are competitive. You've got enhanced coverage for dependents, including spouses, but the enhanced coverage for children is also very good. There is an open enrollment period right now through the end of the year, so you've got another month, and it is guaranteed issue of up to $200,000. So that means that if you apply, you're between the ages of 19 and 59. You can enroll up to $200,000 with no health questionnaire. If you want more coverage than that, you can get up to $600,000. You will have to go through medical underwriting. There will be a review, a health questionnaire, and so forth. But I encourage you to go to our website, afspa.org/life. The full conditions, the full details are there, or give us a call and ask to speak to someone about the life insurance. We'd love to tell you about it. We're very excited about this program. This chronic illness accelerated benefit option is somewhat unique. So I hope we'll see some applications come in. I've got to get mine in. Our other ancillary programs, we do have 4 dental programs, including 1 true international plan. So if you're considering your options, take a look. Those are not limited to, like the FEDVIP program is, to just open season. You can enroll in those anytime. You can change those as you need. We do offer 2 long-term disability plans with various options, 2-year options, 5-year options, lump sum benefit options, and so forth. So take a look at our website. There's information there. Life and accidental death and dismemberment insurance. We do have details on that on our website. If you're someone who's overseas and you have a member of your household, maybe it's a unmarried domestic partner, a parent, an in-law, or a child over the age of 26 who's not covered by the FEHB plan, they likely need insurance, and we have a number of new plans that we've just added this year to take a look at, members of household plans. If you're overseas and you have family coming to visit, encourage them to get a travel plan. The Medicare doesn't cover people outside the United States. They may lose their medication, their eyeglasses, need emergency medical evacuation. Same thing for our stateside members who are going overseas. Take a look at these travel plans. They have flexible options, flexible benefit periods. You can choose your benefits and so forth. So please take a look at those, because that can be important coverage, especially if someone's going to be overseas for an extended amount of time. And it's for pleasure, or it's a family member visiting. We also have professional services in the form of financial planners, long-term care planning, tax professionals, and so forth, where in some cases there's a discount available to AFSPA members or a free consultation. This was my closing slide, but my understanding is we received some early questions about migration, so I added a few slides here at the end to talk about that. So some of the challenges we face. So I want to talk a little bit about going back to 2013. Aetna purchased Coventry Healthcare. Coventry Healthcare no longer exists. We've taken our time at the Foreign Service Benefit Plan in terms of how we transition to Aetna. We moved to the Aetna network a few years ago because it was a much better network than the Coventry network. Now, I know there was some disruption for members where maybe someone was in the Coventry network but not in the Aetna network. This offers almost 4 times as, if not more than 4 times as many providers nationwide that you can select from who are in network. This year was the big change and the final change that we were looking at, and that was a transition to the Aetna computer platform. That meant that members have a new website to go to track claims and to use their wellness, use the wellness program. It also meant that we were using a new system to process claims, to track claims, to manage calls and follow up on our side. It meant new ID cards and new ID numbers and so forth. It was a difficult transition. It did not go as it should have, and I'm sorry for the problems, because it directly affected many members. Some people may have no idea what I'm talking about, but many of you I know had some trouble this year. So some of the issues we had, the claims were delayed, particularly in the early part of the year. There were quality reviews, and there were just generally longer processing times, and there were issues with accuracy. We want to get the claims that we took longer to process claims, make sure they were accurate. Sometimes when we didn't do that, we had problems with accuracy, which meant we had to rework them. We have improved on that. We've returned to a processing time, particularly for our overseas claims, of about 10 to 15 days for over 90% of our claims, and that change took place in August. So if you're somebody who had bad experience early in the year, you have been holding claims, hoping things would get better, please don't hold claims. That said, we're also facing right now an influx of claims toward the end of the year, with people trying to make sure they get those in and so forth. So the processing time is up and down, especially around the holidays with closures and so forth, but things have improved there. Contacting the plan, you ran into longer hold times. There were multiple contact options, and it took and is still taking longer to get responses to emails. We're working on improving that. We have greatly improved that, but one thing I want to mention is some people would send a message through our website, and then they would go to the Aetna Navigator site and send the same message. All of those come to our office. It's a dedicated team here at AFSPA who's answering those questions. So we've been able to combine those when there are duplicates and so forth. That's helped, but it is still taking longer, but we're moving in the right direction. Early in the year with some people, there were problems with electronic funds transfers. Those were resolved. The last issues I think were resolved in May, and it was a small group. But if you were one of those affected, it was difficult, and we have improved upon that. And then I talked about cards. Cards weren't necessarily received by everybody by January 1. Maybe you received multiple cards over the year and not sure why. We're working on some of those issues. Gaining access to Navigator was a challenge for some measures. So many of these early issues have been resolved. There are some ongoing challenges on providing the expected level of service. But our response has been, with the claims, we brought in additional processors. I mentioned the time service is coming back to normal. For member inquiries, we are hiring additional staff. We have a group in training right now. It does take time to identify those people, bring them on board, and train them. We don't want to put somebody on the phones who can't answer your questions well. But we've also utilized overtime throughout the year. There are improved response times now. There is a callback option that members can use. ID card issues have been fixed. We've resent those. The EFT, the reimbursement option has been fixed. Medicare crossover issues have been fixed. And the commitment to the member experience, that's been our theme for 2018 and 2017. That remains the foundation of all we do. We didn't provide you with the service that you expected and more to the point that you deserve. And you had challenges from that. We're going to do better. We are doing better, and we're going to continue to do better. And that's a commitment that all of us here at AFSPA and our partners at Aetna share. So I wanted to talk about that. Irvin let me know that we also should talk about, there's been some questions about the Aetna acquisition, or I'm sorry, the CVS acquisition of Aetna. Yeah, I just talked about Aetna bought Coventry, and now Aetna's been bought by CVS. This is the reality of in the healthcare space. There is ongoing consolidation. There's also a merger coming, an acquisition of Cigna. I'm sorry, where Cigna is acquiring Express Scripts that's going through right now. With Aetna CVS, we don't anticipate any great changes right now. These are companies that work in different spaces. Now, what we do anticipate is that this will provide us with more opportunities to bring care closer to you. So we anticipate there will be more and perhaps better equipped neighborhood clinics inside CVS. We'll be able to draw upon the resources and the experience of CVS as well as Aetna, but put that in place specifically for the needs of Foreign Service Benefit Plan members. Aetna didn't buy Foreign Service Benefit Plan. They don't own Foreign Service Benefit Plan. CVS doesn't own us. We are owned by the members. This is an association. We are here to serve you. We are working with partners to provide you the best service possible. And the consolidation is ongoing. We will keep you as updated as possible as we know more. But as of right now, I don't anticipate that there's going to be another move to another platform or anything like that. But as those changes come, we'll make sure that we're looking at them, we're doing them at the right pace, and that we're keeping you informed of what changes may come. With that, I'm going to go to my side here. Somebody asked for the how-to slides again. I think this is probably the how to make a change slide, so I'll go back to that. That's a good one to leave up. All right. Let's see what else we've got. That's from Yancey. Irvin, what other things have we, other questions have we received?
Pretty general questions. Nothing.
Okay. So if you have questions, if you've been holding your questions, please go ahead and submit those. Send them to us because this is a great time to answer them. Again, please, the general questions are welcome. The specific questions about a specific claim or something like that, we would prefer that you not send those right now.
Oh, FSA. You touched.
I'm sorry, what was it?
You touched on FSA.
Mm-hmm.
Explain that they need to make sure crossover is set up.
This is an excellent content. And Yancy, are we still live? Okay, thank you. I had a little glitch on my screen, and you may have a strange freeze frame of me right now. This is a great point. If you opt into a flexible spending, healthcare flexible spending account, FSA, I really encourage you to do the paperless reimbursement option. You do have to re-enroll in that every year. This means that once your health plan processes your claim, they will send it directly to the FSA administrator. So you don't have to file the paperwork twice, or you don't have to file the paperwork at all if your doctor sends us the claim. It is seamless to you. If you are a Foreign Service Benefit Plan member and you're selecting paperless reimbursement, please make sure that you select the Foreign Service Benefit Plan as your plan and not Aetna. We've been running into this where people have selected Aetna. We get that information from the flexible spending account administrator from WageWorks. They send that to us on a regular basis. So there's no way for us to know that. So if you don't select the correct plan, we're never going to know that you've got the paperless reimbursement. So please make sure that you are selecting the right plan. That's Foreign Service Benefit Plan. Any other specific questions that you think are worth addressing?
Because you pretty much addressed it.
Okay. So I want to thank everybody. We'll maybe stay on for a few more minutes in case there are new questions. But this concludes the presentation and the main Q&A, I'll say.
Clarity.
Maybe not.
Yeah, clarity on the dental, because I did have someone ask a question when you stated about having the FSA.
Okay, so there's some clarity on the dental, and it sounds like whether to enroll in a plan or to use the FSA.
Right.
Absolutely. So it is a personal decision. Some people may prefer to have a dental insurance plan. Maybe they have extensive needs. Maybe they just like having that security. Some people may find that they look at the dental premiums, and if that's the case, I encourage you, take a look at those FEDVIP programs, take a look at the dental programs that are offered by AFSPA and by other groups, and make the right decision for you. Now, some people, particularly those overseas, because there's not participating provider networks overseas, because you'll be reimbursed on an out-of-network overseas fee schedule with particularly the FEDVIP programs, really take a look at that. Find out how much you're going to be paying every month um, for your coverage, for your family coverage, et cetera, whatever it may be, and think about how you use dental care. If you just have a cleaning twice a year, exams, again, maybe in the odd cavity, and you're willing to take a risk that if something else comes up, you can cover that, then put some money in the flexible spending account because you can use that for dental needs if you have something more. You can use it for vision needs. You can use it for your medical costs. So it's really balancing the cost of the premium versus the risk you're willing to take if you have a higher out-of-pocket cost that would be covered by a dental plan, but that if you don't have a dental plan. So it's an individual decision. So there's a question, what are the general costs that FSBP, the Foreign Service Benefit Plan, does not cover when you opt out of Medicare? The chart is confusing. Ooh, yes, the chart is, it can be confusing. It is detailed. And this might be something where we let me encourage you actually to do this. To go to our website, afspa.org/FSBP, and click on the Helpful Links tab. There you will find a link to a 6-page brochure with information about how the Foreign Service Benefit Plan works with Medicare. And there's also I think it's a 45-minute video that our CEO, Paula Jacob, has done about Medicare. Take a look at those. I will say the big thing to be careful about is what kind of provider you're going to. Is it a Medicare participating provider? Is it a non-participating provider who abides by the Medicare limiting charge? Or is it an opt-out provider? The people you really want to avoid are the opt-out providers because in that case, your health plan, whether it's foreign service or another federal plan, will pay very little. So I would encourage you. I don't want to go too far into Medicare because that's not the focus today. But we do have that video online, and I encourage you to go to afspa.org/FSBP and click on helpful links. There's several pieces there about Medicare, which I think you may find helpful. Okay, I have a question that somebody sent me. It's, I earned wellness incentive last year. Can I do this again for 2019 and earn incentives? Absolutely, yes. And I should say, as long as you stay enrolled in the plan, whatever's in that account will roll over to the next year and will be drawn down when you need it. So you can absolutely earn incentives year after year as long as you're in the plan, and as long as you stay in the plan, it will roll over. Okay, this looks like a little bit longer question. Oh my. Okay. Sorry, I have a very small screen that I'm working with. I'm retired from the State Department, Foreign Service. I would like to sign up for high deductible consumer directed health plan with a Self Plus one. I am on Medicare Part A. Okay, I'm actually going to stop here because it gets a little too specific. And I'm going to encourage this person who's asking this to give us a call or to send me an email because this is definitely a specific to you. Anytime you're making a decision about Medicare, it is going to be what works best for you and your family. And so I'd be happy to handle this one-on-one. You can give me a call. You can send me an email. But I don't want to go some of the details that I was reading out loud as I'm reading for the first time. We're going to get a little too specific, I think. So I'm going to leave that there. No.
Yeah, because that's a major question.
Give me just 1 second. Let me read into this. Okay. I'm sorry. I wanted to check with Irvin on something to make sure I understood the question. I actually understood the answer. So the general thing was coming up. How can members who have Medicare Prime, so who are enrolled in Part A and Part B, as well as the Foreign Service Benefit Plan, get wellness incentives? Great question, because typically, if you're enrolled in Foreign Service Benefit Plan, Medicare Part A and Medicare Part B, you're going to have very little out-of-pocket cost. You AFSPA will still remain primary. Your Foreign Service Benefit Plan coverage remains primary for your prescription costs, so you may have some out-of-pocket costs there, but otherwise you're not going to have a lot for medical. So why would you earn them? What are you going to do with the money? The money can be used for a lot of different things, including your dental and vision costs. So if you have out-of-pocket costs for dental, you can send them in. We may cover a tiny portion of a dental exam, $36 for that exam and cleaning, and then the rest can be reimbursed. And so you can use it for those dental costs, those vision costs, and so forth. So the incentive funds can be used for that, as well as any prescription out-of-pocket costs. But you still earn them in the exact same way by getting by preventive exam, HRA, biometric screening, and so forth. Okay. With that, I think I am going to wrap up. We have 5 more webinars next week. So if you have a friend, a colleague, a family member who you think would want to participate in this, please let them know. The information is on our our Facebook page, our website. We send out an email and so forth, and all the staff should be able to send that to you if you have more questions. And some of those are specifically designed for our members overseas. I will be doing a 5 a.m. session by myself next week from home. There will not be a video stream with that one. And at 10 p.m. on Tuesday to help reach our friends in the Pacific area. And all the times, thank you, are Eastern Standard Time. So that 5 a.m., noon, and 1:30 on Monday, 10 p.m. on Tuesday, and noon next Thursday. That's sort of our last chance. Will be all Eastern Standard Time, and I look forward to seeing, hopefully not you all again, because hopefully you've had your questions answered, but maybe some friends, colleagues, family members, and so forth. So we'll also be trying to post a video of this unedited online, and we'll be getting information out about that. So if somebody can't participate, they can go there and take a look. Otherwise, we've got more information on our website, afspa.org/open season. And you got a little over a week left, so make open season count. And thank you once again for joining us. I'll be signing off now. Take care.